Chris is one, Keith, he says, Martin O'Neill told Jim White a new one today in TalkSport. He was in TalkSport today. He did say that if he was offered the job now, he says, I probably don't think I've got the energy. It was an interesting chat he had in TalkSport.
Yeah, well, he keeps fudging the issue of whether or not. If you ask me today, I don't know if I've got the energy, but maybe ask me tomorrow. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. I wonder if Martin might regret it a little bit. Listen, I can totally understand how anybody would lose their ag speaking to Jim White.
Good point. Very good point.
But yeah, I mean, what he said about the pitch invasion was totally contradicted the club statement. The club have condemned it, said it's not acceptable, and Martin O'Neill was basically saying, what's the problem here? Why shouldn't they run on the pitch? That's an unusual kind of mistake, a misstep from Martin. I don't think it looked particularly great. I don't think he was reading the room. As I said, I can understand why he probably couldn't be bothered talking about it, or certainly didn't want to be nailed to a wall on it. So maybe he's got his back up. But I wonder if he might regret saying or handling that in the manner in which he did, because it's not appropriate. And really, as we were saying on here yesterday, there needs to be a big grown-up discussion about how we stop this from becoming, commonplace in the game, because it is becoming a trend. And I'm afraid, the whataboutery response about, well, tell other clubs to do that. Listen, we should be bigger and better than that. We have to be, because we need to find a solution to this. We cannot allow our game to be tarnished like this, and it's becoming more and more regular. And there needs to be proper, grown-up, adult conversations about the best way of rectifying it, nipping it in the bud.
There's one of the comments here, if I can find it. Jungle Boy says, it's time Celtic, Rangers and Hearts, possibly a few others, sat down and had some peace talks. These are the clubs that have cut the allocations, possibly to cool the temperature. That seems like a really good idea to me. Maybe this summer, go out for dinner one night, the figureheads of each club.
Well, why not? Why not? Listen, it's only been in the more recent years when there's been various sort of carnations of the Rangers board. Some had no wish to have any sort of relationship or conversations with Celtic. I don't believe that's the case. I think that the Andrew Kavanagh and his people are proper people. I absolutely would imagine that they'd be open to having conversations. I think there has to be conversations, whether it's between the clubs, whether it's led by the police and the footballing authorities. We need to have something. And I know that today there's been talk about going to the House on the Hill in Holyrood and asking for it to become a criminal offence to invade a football pitch. I'm not sure how keen John Swinney sounded on it. It sounded like a convoluted answer. But yeah, these are the conversations we need to have. We need to find a suitable deterrent if such a thing exists, because it does now seem we seem to be living in a sort of period of time where people just do what people want to do, and they do stick two fingers up at the authorities. They don't want to be told, but there has to be some sort of plan, some sort of punishment, some sort of rule invoked that will act as a proper deterrent. Because we just can't go on like this. As I said yesterday, we just look backwards as a country. And this was at a time when the whole world was watching because of the drama that our game was serving up. It shouldn't have ended like that.
And Keith, as I just said there, maybe we should have some peace talks. Immediately, several comments coming in saying, can he do that? Nobody having peace talks. Jazz, they hate Celtic too much. Haining says Celtic can bring VAR to dinner as it's +1. This is the guys. We need to grow up a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's football at the end of the day. I mean, sit down, have a chat. But,
yeah. There's a lot. There's and the missing minute hasn't gone away, Dan. At the end of that game, Martin in his talk show what was it?
Talk
What is
Sport.
it? Aye, Talksport. And his Talksport thing referred to it being, it was only 8 seconds. But this is the same Martin O'Neill that sat in the press conference moments after the end of the game and said, he was told it was over a minute, I think his words were in the press conference. So none of it looks great. And you know, I don't know what, something strange happened yesterday. When we were on air, I said to you that I believed Hearts were going to issue a statement about the missing minute yesterday afternoon. And I believe that there were journalists who had been told by the PR department at Hearts that something was coming, something was coming down the pipe, and it never materialised. And I think it was when we were on air yesterday, Dan, there was a change of heart, a change of plan. That's a little bit curious as well. I don't know. Maybe everybody just wants it to go away now.
Is it perhaps maybe down to the SPFL statement, Keith?
I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have thought so. Because the bottom line is the SPFL statement said that the game hadn't been abandoned. I know for a fact that Neil Doncaster personally went to see Don Robertson because he had to before the trophy presentation, because he had to establish that this wasn't an abandonment. It was actually, you know, the game had come to a conclusion. The game, obviously, according to Don Beaton, and I noticed Martin's in his quote said the referee claimed that he blew the whistle, which adds another layer of what to the whole thing. But that is the official party line is, yes, the game was ended and it wasn't abandoned. But neither of the managers were informed of that.